Welcome to this men's scissor cutting tutorial. I'll show you all the methods I use. The hair type in this video is straight hair. It's quite soft hair and there's a lot of it, so it's high density. It's quite a hard hair to work with, but I'm going to show you also in this video another hair type as well. So we'll start right here at the side of the head using vertical sections. So I'll put my comb in and just flip it out so that I can pick up a section of hair, and I'm going to cut it down to roughly the length that I want. I can then move to the left of that, pick up another section and trim that down to a similar length. Now I said similar because you don't have to be too accurate at this stage. This is a method of just removing the bulk. I want to get down to a more manageable length so that I can use the scissor over comb method. I'm going to keep doing this, cutting my way back all the way around, almost towards the crown of the head. Like I said, don't worry if it's a little bit rough right at this moment. We're going to make it really neat. There's a really easy method that I'm about to show you. By taking these small sections and taking the bulk down the way you see here, it's going to make life really easy to make this haircut look great. So this will be my last section here before I go on to the scissor over comb method. So scissor over comb, what we do is we're going to take a bunch of horizontal sections working from the top to the bottom. So I'll slide my scissor in, place the comb under this section, and then trim across the comb. Each time I pick up a section, the new hair that I've picked up, I can see that there's some short hair that I've just cut in there as well, and I cut to that length. So I'm working my way down. If you can't see the short hair from the section above, you've probably moved down a little bit too far. I'll pull this onto the face here so you can see where the hairline is. I'm just extending out from that a little bit. Around the ear, I'll place the comb on top of the ear to keep the ear safe, so that the scissor is not anywhere near the skin, so there's plastic between the ear and the scissor. Let's move to the left now, and look where this arrow is, there's going to be something quite important. But we took all the bulk down in this area as well, so I can use the same method, working my way down. If I get a bit closer, you'll see that the blade and the spine of the comb are aligned when I'm cutting until I get to the ear. And that's because the ear is pushing the hair up. So I'm going to cut slightly higher up, but I want the spine to be lower down on the ear, just so that I have that plastic barrier again. Around the ear again. Just pull the ear out of the way. Keep it well away from the blades. You don't want that. Now, to the left, we've got this area here. You see the problem solved area? That's long hair, but I've already solved the problem because as I work my way down, there's no long hair that's going to be lying on top of that hair. So I'm not picking up too much hair as I work. You see? It's very thin sections. Now, what I want you to do is make sure you get the tip of the scissor and slide it in just at the hairline. You can see I've missed a little bit at the ear there, but I'm going to get that. Try not to miss that. It's not a big deal if you do. All you're going to do is you're just going to hold the ear out of the way and cut that section anyway. You're going to just cut along the hairline anyway. But if you can get it, just try to be as neat as possible as you're working. Otherwise, you just have to go back and do the little trimming afterwards. You're going to do it anyway, but it's no big deal. Now, as we work our way around the head, I'm going to go back to debulking, taking that weight off. Okay, so let's find how far we went. Now, you can see that there's a little bit of hair that needs to be cut there. That's where I need to start working my way around the head in these vertical sections. They're vertical because they go straight up and down. And you can see here from this angle that I'm kind of pulling them out at around about 90 degrees from the head. You can also see how you can see through the section. That gives you an indication of how much hair I'm picking up. I'm not picking up too much. Okay, not too much for the scissor to work through. It's not a mass of hair. It's just enough that can be cut. If the scissor starts to bend the hair, then you have too much hair in your fingers. And so look here. If I pick up this section, you see that I can see some short hair there. That's an indication of how long my previous section was. Okay, so now I can go on and take care of this hair and the problem solved area that we've already solved, okay? Because I didn't take vertical sections that low. But as I work my way down, I don't have a huge amount of hair lying on top of each section, and it's easy to pick up with the scissors. I just slide the scissor in, comb under, and just keep the two of them working down together. Now that comb flip, that's the key. When I turn the comb over and place it under, that's the main thing. Okay, it's sliding the scissor in and out and cutting's easy. It's the comb. You pinch it between your first finger and your thumb and just flip it over and under. It looks so simple, but that's the tricky part. And if you can get that right, you can do this no problem. It's just a case of practicing. And the way I used to practice this was to just sit in an armchair with a comb and just try and flip it over for a while, and you'll get it within 20 minutes. And this type of haircut, I always say, you need to do it about 10 times before you start getting, becoming natural at it when you're scissor over combing. Don't beat yourself up if it's not perfect first time. This is a very hard hair type that I'm working on here. This is straight, dense hair. And if you can cut this type of hair and it's sitting well, then you're doing really well. As I said, there is going to be another hair type in this video that I'm going to show you, and that'll be coming up later on. So I'll keep working my way down towards the bottom. If you want to taper it nearer the bottom, you just have to get slightly closer as you work your way down. You can see here, I've just decided to just taper that area a little, but I want to keep it quite natural on this haircut. I don't want it to have any crazy hard lines. So a little bit more water and the same method again. I'm not going to illustrate it this time because you've seen it, but I'm just working scissor in, comb under, and we work down together with the two. So the comb and the scissors are moving down the head parallel until you get down towards the bottom, and then you can move across to your next section. The method's very simple. So again, we need to debulk on this side now, and I'm just going to take these vertical sections and work my way towards the front. I am going to change the way that I attack this, which you're going to see in a second. It's because we're starting to work our way towards the fringe, and you have to be careful not to obliterate the fringe. The fringe is important to the finished look, so this is quite an important point coming up here. What I'm going to do is I'll separate the fringe. I'll find the point that the hair kind of recesses at the fringe, pull the fringe out of the way, and then I'm going to go in just backwards. It's easier to pick up because of the flow of the hair. The hair is flowing towards the front of the head, so if I go in the other way with the comb, it's just a little bit easier to collect with the comb. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to my model who came in and let me cut his hair. He is also a barber. His name's Mikhail, and he is from the Ukraine, but he's over here in Scotland. And I'll leave a link down below to the barbershop that he worked in the Ukraine. His work is absolutely top notch. It's really quality work. And if you're looking for a barber in the UK, give him a shout. He is a tremendously talented barber. Very, very clean work indeed. So working down around the edges here, just down towards the face. I want a little bit of hair to come onto the face. I want it to be slightly textured. That's enough. Okay, let's not go too crazy. Get that hair off the ear. At the end of this cut, I'm going to use some Hair Bond sea salt spray, which is my favorite texturizing spray, because sometimes I don't like a haircut to look like it's been cut. I just want it to look natural. Sometimes I think that looks the best. You know, if it's too pristine, it doesn't work with a scissor cut. I'm cutting down with the scissors here, but I'll come back to that later. On the top, now we need a method for cutting the top. It's going to be quite long, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work in sections from the back towards the front. If you watch my channel, you've seen this method used before. So I'll pick up a section here. I'm going to cut it quite long. So let's pick it up. And this is what you call club cutting. It's where you cut it straight, okay? But that's not how I'm going to cut it this time. The method I'm going to use is called point cutting. And I'm going to angle the scissors and chip in across a straight line made by my fingers. So that's point cutting. So a good way to point cut in a relaxed manner is if you pick up the section, but then tilt your fingers forward a little bit and use this kind of like thumb underneath method so that you're kind of point cutting back towards yourself. It's more relaxed than just point cutting down the way. So I can see my guideline there, and I'm just going to cut to that. When you pick up each section, you're not going to see a straight line because you point cut the last line. So what you're looking for is a rough line. Now, this is a basic tutorial, right? So you don't have to point cut. You can club cut if you want. Club cut is probably the most simple way. It's just cut straight across, and it's going to work absolutely fine as well. It's just that in this haircut, because it's straight hair, and straight hair does take texture really well, I've decided that I want to point cut it. I think it's just going to look more interesting for the finished result. I've got to say, I really enjoy cutting this type of hair. It's long, so you can do like lots with it. And Mikhail, when he came in, he said, just cut it any way you want. And I was like, right. I just felt like, yeah, right away, I think we can do a really good scissor cut with his hair. And by the way, if you're enjoying this lesson and you want to learn with me how to cut hair, I do teach barbering online. I have a course online, and I'll leave a link for that down below where you can find out more. On the side then, we need to do a little bit of connecting. So let's take this section here, and you can see there's some short hair on either side of my section, and I need to connect them. That's basically how to tie this together, right? We've cut a strip down the middle and we've cut the sides, so we just need to join the two together. So working from the back, if I just keep picking up sections, working my way towards the front, then I'll just join up my little points, my little short points, by chipping across and work all the way to the front. And that's really a really simple way for me to be able to join up this haircut. By the way, tell me what stage you're at with your barbering. Have you been doing many scissor cuts? And is this helpful? Do you think this is going to be useful, or would you use this method? Every barber uses a different method, and if this isn't something you would use, tell me what you would use. Onto the other side, same thing, connect your 2 points from the top down to the side. Yeah, some of the other barber channels I follow, they cut completely different to me, but they always achieve a good result. And so this isn't the only method. There's many methods that you could use. This one I find really effective, and I use it a lot. Now, believe it or not, I am a bit of a barber geek. I watch so many barber channels. So if you could recommend anything for me, tag a channel down below. I'd be happy to go and watch, especially if there's a really good video that you like. I would love to watch that as well. So you can never stop learning as a barber. There's so much to learn. Okay, let's keep working our way forward towards the front. Chipping in all the way to the front. The method that I used is actually what you would call a layering method. So I've cut layers from the back to the front. Imagine just each section was a layer. Think about it like that. And it's going to make it easier for us to cut the fringe. I'm going to show you a method for cutting the fringe in this video. Before I do that, let's address this crown. Now, I'm combing it all over this way. Let's take some sections. And again, it's just like the sides, joining up points. See that high point in the middle of the crown? All I need to do is just trim that high point away, and that's it. Really simple. Because the hair is long enough, the crown's going to lie no problem. If this hair crown was much shorter, because it's straight hair, it would start pinging and standing up on end. It would be hard to get this to sit if it was too short. Okay, so at the front, I'm going to take a bunch of sections, okay, working across the head like this. Now, each section doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be anything to cut, but where there is, I will cut. So if I pick this up, I have a look at it, okay, I'm happy with that. That's, there's nothing to cut there. It's a line. And I'll keep working my way over, picking these up. There's some long hair. Let's take that down. Again, it's like connecting points, isn't it? So now comb it all down, and I'm going to use my comb as a straight line. So I want the fringe to be relaxed on the comb. It's just lying there, and then I can chip across the comb. Anything that's sticking out beyond that straight line can come off. I don't like to pull the fringe straight down and just cut across. I like it to rest naturally the way it normally would, you know, if it was just in a relaxed state, basically. That's all I want. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen this tool before. You don't need to use this. This is just a little extra bonus bit of information for you. This is a texturizing razor, and I'm just using it to add a little bit more texture and take a little bit more weight out of the hair in places. So what I do is I pick up some hair on the comb and I just brush this razor blade across the hair, and it can take quite a lot of hair. So you better be careful. The first time I used one of these, I got a bit crazy, you know. I just razored away until there was nothing left. So just chill out when you have the feather razor in your hand. You want your client to leave with some hair. Let's pull the hair out of the way here. I'm going to pull that long hair out of the way just so I can get under into the neck hair. But be careful not to take the head hair away. And then I'll let that hair lay over the top. So we don't actually have here a taper or a neckline. The hair at the back is just marginally longer than the hairline. That's given me that natural look, the look of it hasn't actually been cut. That's what I'm looking for. I want it to look as natural as possible. By the way, if you're ever going to a wedding or anything like that, I would recommend that don't get your hair cut on the day of a wedding, or maybe even the day before. I think it's better to let a haircut grow in for a couple of days so it just looks a little bit more natural. You don't want any red marks, and sometimes a tiny amount of stubble or short hair coming in makes it look a bit more lived in. This is that texturizing spray I was talking about, so I'm going to put all that in. Love the smell of this stuff. You can get it in the UK. I'll leave a link, and you can get something similar in the US, and I'll leave a link for that down below as well. I'm bunching the hair back into the dryer here so that I can get some lift on it. And now that I've done that, look, we've got a little bit of weight here. So I'm going to just scissor over comb a little bit from above that, just to take the density out of this little area here. I think it's going to look better, just a little bit more natural. And you can see there's a tiny bit of redness there. Remember what I said, like if you had a big event on, do you really want like a little bit of red marks, you know, some marks on your neck? Some people are sensitive to metal, so metal on skin. Now look at this, I want to take density out of here, so what I'm going to do is I'll use this True Barber hair gripper, right? And just pull the hair above this little area so that I can get access to this hair underneath, and just, I'll trim that down a little bit shorter. And then when I take the hair gripper away, the long hair will lie over the top, but there'll be less density because I removed some from underneath. It's a minor detail, but it helps to make it more natural. So here's what it looked like before, and here's the after. You can see the texture with that texturizing spray, the razor, the chipping in. You can club cut this if you want, or you can chip in if you want texture like this. It's up to you. The club cutting is the easier method. Now, I did say I was going to show you another method, so let's take a look at that now. So I'm going to start by wetting the hair down. I always like to scissor cut on wet hair, and one of the best ways to control hair is to cut it in little sections and cut those sections in order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the hair at the back of the head just above the middle, above what we call the occipital bone. And these are going to be the little sections that I'm going to take. The way I'm going to do that is slide the scissor in underneath the hair at the top, then put the comb underneath the scissor and cut the hair away. Now each time you can see the short hair from the previous section, and that is what I'm using as a guide so that I know how much hair to cut from the next section. So I'll continue working my way down towards the bottom. Now you can take
slightly more off as you get nearer the bottom if you want to create what we call a tapered finish where it kind of disappears towards the bottom. Now that I've completed that middle panel, I'm going to step to the side of that and I'm going to use the same technique, sliding the scissor in, putting the comb underneath and cutting across the spine of the comb. Now this technique does look tricky, but a little bit of practice and it actually becomes second nature to you. It's very easy and it would probably become your favorite way of scissor cutting hair. At the ear, make sure you get in right behind the ear there. So get the point in behind the ear so you're gathering up all of the hair. I'll cut this side and then I'll move across to the other side and I'll repeat. Now this method is what is known as cutting hair without tension. So you go in with the scissor and the hair is just relaxed on the comb. It's not being pulled out by the fingers. I really like to cut hair without tension because it's much more natural. When you pull hair out with the fingers, you put it under tension. That's not the natural state of the hair. That's not the way that hair lies. There is a use for it, and I'm going to do that right now at the top because this hair is so long, I'm going to have to cut it with tension. So I'm going to take sections and I'm going to pull them out with my fingers. Now I can see at the bottom of my section the short hair from where I was doing that scissor over comb without tension method. And I'm going to use that as my guide and work straight up on the section. So this is cutting hair with tension. Yeah, the reason, as I stated, that I'm doing it this way higher up is because the hair is longer. And if I was to pick up the hair with the scissors and the comb, it would actually start to collapse because of the length of it. So I prefer to use my fingers for longer hair. You'll probably find most hairdressers and barbers are the same. Now that it's down to length, I can polish it a little bit with some scissor over comb, but I am going to come back to this at the end of the haircut because I want to show you some really important polishing techniques. I want you to see how I polish up a haircut. It's very important. Now, step over at the side, we'll continue working our way across. You can see the amount of time I've been working here. It's not a long time, and I've almost covered the entire back of the head. I'm going to show you in a minute how I tie the back into the sides of the head. It's actually really easy, but I'll just polish this up a little bit more. And as I said, we are going to polish it even further at the end. So, scissor over comb. These scissors are, by the way, quartered steel scissors. Now, I don't earn a commission from quartered steels, but I'm happy to recommend them. They are very good. I'll leave a link down below for those scissors. So, how do we tie the back into the front? We need some kind of guide. So, let's take a look here. Comb that hair out of the way. You see where the little circle is and the arrows? So the little circle, that'll tell me where that was the short hair from the back. You can see it in the comb. So I just follow that forwards, pull the comb out as far as that little circle, you know, where it was, and work my way forwards. As you work down towards the ear, make sure you keep the comb in front of the ear. That's a method I pretty much always use. I'll step to the side of that again. Now, I'm getting nearer the front. I'm not quite at the front yet, but there's the short hair in the comb, and I'll just work my way down from there. It's a really enjoyable method. Let me know down below if you like cutting like this, if you use this method. It's definitely one of my favourite methods. It's so fast. I mean, it's almost faster than a clipper, I think. Sometimes you're going over and over hair with a clipper. If it's not, well, it depends what clipper you're using. But now look at this. I've got the comb on top of the ear. That's really important. Keep the comb on top of the ear, pull the hair over it, and keep the comb on top of the ear. When you're cutting this fine hair around the ear, cut away from the ear. So the back of the blade is on the front of the ear, and I cut away. Same at the back. I'm cutting away from the ear. So I know that there's no ear in between the two blades of the scissor. We still need to address this final little bit at the temple here. So we'll go in scissor over comb again. It's the same method. I'm taking little sections, working my way down and getting closer towards the bottom. Now I'm going to tidy up around the ears with a little trimmer at the end as well. but I'm happy with that there. So here on the other side, there's that short hair, and I can use that as my guide to work my way forwards. So we're taking our next section forward, but working down towards the ear, all the way down. And remember, at the ear, what did we say? Keeping it safe, keep the spine of the comb on top of the ear when you're cutting across. There's the short hair again. And you'll notice here, what I'm doing closer to the front, I'm taking a slightly different angle. I'm not quite working straight down. The comb is at a slight angle. I'm going with the flow of the hair. This is kind of the way that the hair grows towards the face, and sometimes you can find it easier to cut at a slightly different angle than just horizontal. You can see here, look, this is where I'm going to take my sections here. I'm going to work towards the face, towards the eye, and let the hair just lay towards the eyebrow. Feel free when you're cutting hair to alter the way that you're cutting. You know, it doesn't have to be straight lines. You can change the angle for the direction of the hair anytime you like. On top, I'm going to take a series of sections, and you can see them here. So I'm going to pull my sections using the hook of the comb and lift them up and cut straight across the fingers. So this is cutting hair with tension. It's hard to cut hair without tension on top because, as I said, hair collapses, and it collapses even more so on top because of gravity. But each section gives me a guide for the next section that I'm going to cut. So I have, I'll cut this section, that's short. If I pick up a little bit of that with my next section, then I can see how much hair I need to take off. So I'll keep working my way towards the front. Now, a little tip here, sometimes what I will do is actually just pull back at the fringe a little bit. So when I'm picking up, I pull my fingers back, and the hair, because of that, is what we call an over direction. The hair then is slightly longer as you get towards the fringe. Sometimes I like to cut the fringe on its own at the end of the haircut. I'm going to step to the right of the center now, and you can see a little guide from the short hair in the middle. And if I just keep picking up my sections there, I've always got the short hair in the middle to tie into. By the way, I do also teach barbering on Udemy. I have a couple of courses on there, and I'll leave a link down below for Udemy if you want to learn more from me. And you can also find me on Instagram. I have an Instagram channel. It's the 1 Minute Barber as well. So links down below, as well as all the links for all the tools that I'm using today. Now, if you've cut the top and cut the sides, you have this little area in between the sides and the top that you need to tie together. So I'm going to work my way across this section. I know it's there. I know I'm going to find some little long hairs there. So if I work my way across. So if I follow that line along, I'm going to just take what would be a corner, and I'm going to follow right round onto the crown as well and connect the back and the top together. So this is just taking down any high points on the crown. You can tell me at the end if you think that I've taken down the crown enough. I think I have, but I blow dry it with a bit of fluff, and you can, you be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Okay, over to the left-hand side of that central section, I'm going to do the same. I should be able to find my guide from the middle and just work my way forward from the back to the front. Using the hook of the comb, I can draw it across each section and then just cut across. Now, this is the speed that I normally work at when I'm in the shop. I tend to work quite quickly. You don't have to. You know, if you need time to focus on where your section should be and making thin sections, then do that. This is just so that you're not bored watching this video, and you can slow it down at any point, anytime you like. You don't need to work at the speed of me. And don't be daunted by fast work, okay? The reason I'm fast is because I've repeated this so many times, you know, thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of times, to the point that it's just second nature. I know exactly what I'm picking up. Now here's me connecting that side, looking for that little corner between the top and the sides, like I said to you before, and making sure everything in the haircut is connected. When you're blow drying, you can actually find areas that are unconnected and deal with them later. Round at the front, I wish I'd filmed this better for you, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the hair down onto the comb and just trim across the spine of the comb. I'm only taking off anything that is really sticking out. You know, if there's one long hair, I'll get rid of it. I'm not taking a lot off of the fringe here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a dry off, and when I'm drying it off, I'm having a look at the brush, because when you're going round with the brush, you can see if there's a little hair, a little long hair that you've missed. And then onto the back. Now it's dry, and I told you I was going to polish it. So what I'm doing is I'm going over, scissor over comb again, going over my sections, but what I'm not doing is I'm not taking a huge amount of length off. I'm just looking for anything that looks like it's out of place, any kind of little long hair that isn't connected, it's not tying in. I like to check the whole haircut over like this, around the sides and the back. And once I've gone over this area, what I like to do then is then the next step of polishing, which is what really like refines your work. You may feel that this is a bit long-winded, but it's worth doing because it's going to make the hair look incredible. And you can do this within half an hour. This is a half-hour haircut for me, even though I've edited it down into a 14-minute video. So here's the final technique. It's scissor over comb, and what we do is you just run the comb up through the hair, keep the scissor parallel to the comb, to the spine of the comb, and you're basically just looking to take away what I call dust. So you could probably hear the scissor cutting here, and it is taking away a tiny amount of hair. But what we're doing is we're making a really smooth panel from the bottom all the way up to the top. I'll step to the side now, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just nibbling away, taking away any tiny little long hairs. This is such an important step. A lot of people do this when they're blending in the sides to the top on a clipper cut, just with the parietal ridge area. But on this scissor cut, I'm using it all the way around and tidying up all my work to make sure that it's as neat as possible. I'm waiting till you see how this lays. Once I run the pump comb through it at the end, it's going to be so good. The texture is unreal in this hair. And it must be said, I must say thank you to Alistair, who always models for me. His hair is so good. Okay, little clipper work, straight lines from the ear down to the nape of the neck. And then once we've done that, look, we've got this pump comb here, and this is what's, big teeth. Look at the texture of this. Look at how it sits. This is a layered haircut. I've gone round, scissor cut the whole thing. You can see I've fluffed up the crown a little bit with the hairdryer, although it is the correct length. Tell me what you think. Do you like the haircut? Is this useful for you? Tell me what stage you're at with your barbering. I would love to know. I'd love to know if there's anything that I could help you with, any questions that I could answer. And finally, I just want to say thank you for watching. I'll be back soon with another video. Good luck with your scissor cutting, and I'll see you again in my next video.